Welcome back to the gun dungeon, guys. Still cranking on some of these 45 ACPs. Just a fun round to load. It's enjoyable. I like it. And I need some. I've shot up a lot of my good target 45 loads. So anyways, today we're going to talk about a little topic that I find interesting because I actually enjoy the concept of it, and that is, are alloy frames making a comeback? Because we're seeing more and more, or at least it seems like I'm seeing more and more in alloy frames. You've got the Smith & Wesson M&P came out with their alloy frame. Walther has a metal frame, I think it's a PDP. You see some metal frame options for even the P365s. So, I mean, we're starting to see some more like metal, I'm gonna call them alloys, because they're definitely not steel, I don't think. Maybe some of them are, but most of them are alloys. And they're starting to make a comeback. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. You know, typically you look at the weight differences, there's not a whole lot of weight differences between the polymers and the alloys, but there is a little bit. And, you know, we're even starting to see some of the smaller guns too. What was it? The Smith CSX, I think it was. That's an alloy frame, little, you know, subcompact, micro compact 9mm. Kimber, I think they have, what is it, the Evo, little alloy frame. You know, I think, you know, what is old is new again. It's starting to become a thing here when it comes to frame materials. Now, why did we ever shift away from alloy frames to start with? I think a couple reasons. One was probably cost, if I'm betting. Cheaper to produce, cheaper to get to the consumer, because it does seem like the majority of the new alloy frame guns coming out, as far as handguns, are a little bit more on the expensive side. But if people are willing to pay for it to get an alloy frame, more power to them. Maybe one of the reasons was a little bit of weight savings. But you know, one thing that I see mentioned a lot was durability. And it may sound counterintuitive that polymer frames are more durable than alloy frames or a metal frame, but I don't think that it's inaccurate. Because when you talk about alloy frames, they're rigid. So during the recoil, they take a hard lick. They're a little bit more rigid. And that was a common issue with a lot of the 1911s that came out, like the lightweight Commanders and stuff, is the alloy frames would start to develop cracks, peening, things of that nature, because, you know, an alloy frame, it's a metal frame, sure, but it's not as strong or durable as a steel frame. So the alloy frame started kind of getting a bad rap there sometime down mid to late 80s to mid 90s, somewhere in there. About the time the polymer frames became popular, you're starting to see some you know, kind of kickback on the alloy frames. And, you know, that was pretty common amongst a lot of guns, not just 1911s. Like if you look, man, I'm running into all kinds of small pistol primer 45 brass. I hate it too. But it was pretty common. Like you look at the 3rd gen series of the Smith & Wessons, their bigger caliber guns were steel frames, like the 10mm. Those were steel frames. They weren't alloy frames. Now, why weren't they alloy frames? I think you know why. But is that something that's going to continue with the alloy frames of today? Have we solved that problem? Because, you know, 9mm, I don't think they're going to have any problems like the new M&Ps and stuff. And I think everything that I've mentioned coming out on alloy frames, on the new stuff, you know, you still have alloy frame 1911s and stuff. But most of everything I've mentioned coming out is all 9mm. So are we going to start seeing this trend back to metal frames Are we going to see that go on to, bigger stuff, like 10 millimeters and 45 M&Ps, things of that nature? Or is it going to stay just 9 millimeter because of the durability issue? I don't know. I can't say. But we'll never really know until time tells us how the new alloy frames are holding up compared to polymer frames. But if I'm being honest with you, I dig them. I like metal frames. I've actually looked at several of the P365 metal option frames, because that's one of my favorite carry guns. Like this thing, if you've watched my channel much, I tote on this all the time. This is just one of those guns for me that just fits. It fits my hand, it carries well, I shoot it well. This right now, my opinion on favorite carry guns changes about like my underwear, about once a month. But right now, that is my favorite carry gun. And I would love to have an alloy frame for it, but some of the ones that I've looked at, either the grip looks a little bit more chonky, which I don't think I'd like that, because the narrowness, thinness of that grip is one of the things that I really, really like. And then the other one had, I'm not going to remember the names. I'm not even going to try to remember the names. If you know which ones I'm talking about, put it in the comment below. One of them had like a thumb rest on the side of the frame. And that immediately put me out of it, because I don't want more width and I want my holsters to still fit. I don't think that thumb rest sticking out on the side is going to play nice with my Kydex holsters. So that one immediately was ruled out. But the idea, I love it. I wish they made an exact replica of the SIG P365 XL frame, exact replica with alloy frame, and changeable grip panels. I don't even know if changeable is a word, but you get what I'm saying. Grip panels that I can change out to some wood or some G10 or something like that. That would be so awesome. And that's another cool part about having alloy frames, is you typically have more versatility there with being able to modernize or accessorize or personalize whatever kind of lies you want to do there to your gun, if you can change out the grip panels. Like 1911. Look up 1911 grips on just Google. There are pages and pages and pages. Everything from poker cards on the side of them, rebel flags, whatever you can think of. All kinds of cool options. Snake skin, wood, any kind of wood you can possibly imagine. But, that's something cool about alloy frames or metal frames. You typically have that option. Not so much with polymer, because it's generally all one-piece deal there. Some interchangeable back strap, something like that maybe, but that's about it. But I want to know your all's thoughts on the alloy frame trend starting to come back into play here. Is this going to be something that continues? Are we going to see more and more of this? We're going to see more aftermarket alloy frame options? And what's the durability going to be like compared to the guns of the 80s and 90s that developed all the stigma of aluminum is soft, aluminum is going to break? If you look it up, that was the common theme then, was that aluminum frames sucked. They were breaking, cracking, whatever. So let me know your all's thoughts down below. Till next time, guys, stay tuned.